So, in terms of the talking about the Prussian education model, I'm going to look directly at you. In terms of the Prussian education model, the thing that's really important to address about it isn't so much the details as much as just the idea that after 100 years of that education being in place, what it resulted in. What were the fruits of that education model? And the fruits of that education model were the Nazis and a complete dictatorial takeover of the German state. So, this kind of education is a form of training for obedient workers and soldiers, primarily soldiers at the beginning of the Prussian model, but gradually it became factory workers primarily. So this education model is essentially the same thing that was adopted in the 1900s by Horace Mann and then was advocated for by John Dewey, a more utilitarian sort of model of education where the purpose of it would be to prepare children for the workforce as a practical measure. And this was a good idea at the time, but at this point we don't have the same kind of economy. We don't have the manufacturing base that we had 100 years ago. We're trying to tweak aspects of an education system that is so far antiquated that it's not worth saving, and it's not worth us making these tiny little tweaks. It's like changing the audio system in a rundown Model T Ford that simply has a broken engine and it doesn't have a body to it at all. We're not. What's the point? We need to scrap the whole system and come up with something new and better, something that actually addresses the human problem, something that actually can create an enlightened population, not something that's going to feed the economic model, because clearly the economic model is what is causing so much turmoil on this planet. So and I do have an alternative method for education, and I call it the art of living, the sort of an answer, a modern day answer to the classical liberal arts. And it starts with life. It starts with conception. Education should be a lifelong process. We all know this. This is what all of the academics are saying, but none of them have envisioned an education model that actually does this. And I have. And I've spent the last about 10 years thinking about this concept, and I've finally come up with a schema that works. And I can make another video specifying what that is, but I've also been on a number of podcasts talking about this idea. One of them is the No Master, No Slaves podcast, and I will put a link below attaching their podcast to this video. So just think about it. What is the purpose of our education system if not to liberate, emancipate humanity? Is it to enslave humanity? Because that's what it seems to be doing. We need to be thinking about this and devising answers and solutions to these problems. So with that, love and appreciation and agape. Peace.